March 26th, 2020. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 205 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me at a safe distance is Dr. Mike.
Hello. I don't know about safe.
It's safe.
It's a distance.
And we've got these pop filters in front. I think that'll catch anything that might be heading our way. Well, for listeners who haven't already heard, and this should come as no surprise, our trip to Biloxi in April has been postponed. It's really something because, last time we recorded, it was on March 11th, 2 weeks ago. And we were talking about basketball pools. We had Vinny on, and we're saying, hey, we'll see you in Biloxi.
The very next day.
I'll tell you, that night is when they postponed the NBA.
Right.
And then everything started falling apart after that. And now it's like we're living in a different world.
Right.
And really, at that time, right before then, all the podcasters, we said, well, are we still going to go? And we all said, yeah. We still plan on going. And like a week later.
Well, now I don't think you'd be able to get a plane, even if you wanted to go. A lot of them have canceled so many flights.
Not just that, but would the casinos even be open?
Yeah,
right? We'd get there and there'd be no place to stay.
Well, I heard yesterday that San Manuel Casino here in Southern California plans to reopen April 12th.
Okay, and it was one of the first ones to close.
It was one of the first
in our
ones
area,
in Southern California, yeah.
Yeah.
And the host there texted my brother yesterday and said that they plan to reopen April 12th.
Okay.
Now, that's just...
Sure, it might get pushed out
but
so April
They may
12th.
not be allowed to if the governor continues the stay at home
that
we have here in California.
Right. Well, the idea is to, it's like, okay, we're all going to get infected, but let's not all get infected at once, right? That's the idea, is to not overwhelm
to spread it out.
The hospital system. So, anyway,
it's
we'll
funny
see.
Because some states don't have a lot, like Nebraska. How many casinos in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Not enough.
And I think I don't know of any casinos in the United States that are open now. There might be some holdouts or like some small card rooms or something.
Maybe some card room in some state with one or two cases.
So
right?
it could be the case, but certainly all the major casinos are closed down. So.
Yeah, and you probably don't want to go to one anyway, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's taking an awful big risk.
Well, it's like
the people working there don't want to be there.
That's
for sure.
It's like the guys on Due for a Win said, and they said they didn't come up with this, but they said that casinos are just land-based cruise ships.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much true.
A pretty good way of putting it,
yeah.
Well, many of you probably received an email with a video message from Caesars CEO Tony Rodeo. I think that was either yesterday or the day before. And he did talk, he was talking about, we're closed and all the things you'd expect a CEO to say. But he did get kind of specific about their Caesars Rewards program. And so let's talk about some of the things that he mentioned in that message. Number one, no reward credits will expire while their properties are closed. So, if after 60 days you don't play or you don't somehow...
Everyone's expires because they're closed for 60 days. It's just like, oh, sorry.
That's the idea. You have to do something every 60 days to keep your reward credits active.
Right.
And that could be playing at a casino or sometimes using their credit card, something. So he's saying, okay, none of those will expire while they're closed. Now, he didn't say what the alternative was. Like, the day that they open back up, do they expire that day?
Right.
Probably not. I mean, the idea would be that they would add however many days they're closed onto that 60 days.
Yeah, I would
hope.
And
then go from there.
I would hope.
But he didn't say anything specific. Number two, and I'm going to quote him here, they're prepared to modify tier status earning requirements depending on how long this lasts. And we will share details about these changes as we get more clarity. And that makes sense too, because with the casinos being closed this long, oh my gosh, I can't get my diamond status, right?
Right.
I just barely make it every year, right?
It might be hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. So again, they don't have details out yet, but at least they're taking that into account. So I would guess that they would just lower the numbers, how many tier credits it would take to get to
if they're closed
a level,
a month, just
right?
1/12 of that.
We'll see about that. Number three, They're going to refund all 7 Stars experience credit redemptions that are or will be affected, and they will be bookable at later dates. And that affects you, Mike, right?
Yeah, right. Because I had baseball tickets for Padres opening weekend, which is this weekend.
Yeah.
It would have been this weekend.
Right. And you used your 7 Stars experience points to get those.
Right.
So, again, no details, but you won't lose them, apparently. And then finally, they will work to reschedule events and offers customers have received. And obviously that won't be every single event. And, the NFL draft, right? They were going to have this big thing. That's not going to be part of it. But it'll be interesting to see how they handle the offers, because we're losing hundreds and hundreds of dollars in free play
that we would have gotten because we do go
at Harrah's, Southern California. Yeah. Now, I can't imagine that they're going to give us everything that we missed.
Right.
Because it's not like we showed up and played. I mean, that's the idea, is they get us out there to play. But we'll see if they compensate us in some way. I don't know.
I got a feeling that compensation means the steak knives that they ordered that are already there in the back room, we're going to get those at some point.
Right.
But I doubt if we're getting our free play. It's kind of like,
Yeah, what can they do?
Yeah, file for unemployment.
Yeah.
Put it in your application for unemployment. Look, I lost a lot of free play. A lot of free play.
You just say, it's about 90. I would have gotten a return of about 90%.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, it was nice that he came out and talked about these things. He didn't talk about the acquisition by Eldorado at all. So who knows if that, there's talk about that maybe not even going through because of how the stock market's going and all that stuff. So,
sure. Well, that has to decrease the value of Caesars. Yeah. It's on the stock exchange.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it has to decrease their value. So
I don't know. I don't know enough about financing, but it might sour the deal.
Right. Or at least postpone it for a while.
Or something like that. Anyway, Tony Rodeo said that you can go to Caesars.com/updates for more information. They'll be updating that page. But it was nice that he came out and at least said something, even though some of it's still up in the air and vague.
That's one nice thing about a big corporation like Caesars versus, going to Viejas here, San Diego. We have no idea.
No.
I checked their website. It just says, closed.
There's social media. There are still some Southern California casinos where I go to their Twitter account and there's no mention of them being closed, even though we know they're all closed now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how they don't, in this day and age, you think they'd have 2 people hired that keep that active and are on it all the time, making updates daily, right?
That should be their job.
About promotions and stuff. And wouldn't it be good business to do that?
Yeah, you'd think so. Well, one of the things that I think a lot of people are doing while they are sheltering in place is watching a lot of TV and movies. And one of the things that Sherry and I did the other night was to watch Uncut Gems, the movie with Adam Sandler. Now, I told you I was going to watch it. Did you watch it also?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I was hoping we could both talk about it. That's why I said, hey, we're going to watch it.
2 days ago, I spent the whole day watching season 3 of Jessica Jones.
Oh, all right. So you got caught up
there. The whole season. 13 episodes. It's 13 hours of Jessica Jones.
Good.
It was good.
All right, good for you. Well, anyway, you've probably heard of this movie. It stars Adam Sandler as a jeweler who gets mixed up in sports gambling in a really bad way. And I'll say this, the movie, it's actually a very good movie, but it is a stress inducer. Pretty much every scene is written to make you feel uncomfortable. It's like, oh my gosh, how's he going to get out of this? And it just goes on and on. In fact, Sherry was even saying she didn't really enjoy watching it because it was just so stressful.
Right.
But
one of those movies.
Yeah, but it's still a very good movie. He's excellent. And, Kevin Garnett plays himself in the movie, and he's really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's really good.
Uncut Gems. Well, I'm going to have to watch that.
But again, it is stressful. Now, if you know a lot about sports betting, there are a couple of things that happen. It's like, that's not exactly right. But I don't want to spoil it because they're not that big a deal. And honestly, if you don't know a lot about sports betting, you probably wouldn't even notice it. And I don't think it really affects the story. But
it still boggles my mind when they screw stuff up like that.
But this isn't as bad as you usually see at a poker table or a craps table or something like that. And I'll talk to you about it after the show. But anyway, it moves the plot along, so okay.
Because I'm sure on the set, when they're filming that, there is somebody who's a sports bettor who would say, we should probably change that.
There's enough details that they obviously had somebody on set who did know.
Yes.
But I don't know if artistic license or whatever, to move along the plot. Maybe they just kind of gloss over. It just
might not be
things,
worth
right?
changing things. Well, since I mentioned Jessica Jones season 3,
yes,
I don't want to spoil it for people who want to watch that.
Is this their last season?
It's their last season.
Okay, right.
I think it was a really good one, but she does kind of team up with another person who has superpowers. I won't tell you his powers, but he's got a sports betting and poker playing problem.
Ah, interesting.
And that's what causes him to do the stuff he does, because he gets in financial hardships because of his addiction to mostly poker.
Jessica Jones, part of the Marvel TV universe on Netflix, correct?
Netflix,
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very
Season
good.
3.
Very good.
Yeah. And I mean, they don't show him playing anything, but they keep talking about it. That's his motive for the bad things he does. He does good things too, but the bad things are motivated by sports betting. And
just like real life.
Yeah, just like real life.
Okay. On our last episode, listener Nick called in, and one of the things he said was that he played a game called Deuces Wild, a table game, not video poker, Deuces Wild. I believe it was at the D. I can't remember for sure
I think he said the D, yeah.
And we said we'd talk about it on a future episode. So why don't we talk about it right now? You ready? You ready to learn?
All right.
This is pretty straightforward. I think you'll have no problem.
My brain's been turned off for about 12 days
I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine. Now, the game's actually been around for a while, at least 9 years. I'm trying to remember if we've heard of it before.
I don't think so. I certainly have never seen it.
No, I don't think so either. So anyway, it's a game you're not playing against the dealer nor the other players at the table. And if you play your hand to completion, you'll end up with a 5-card poker hand where deuces are wild.
Okay.
Just a regular 52-card deck.
Just like the video.
Yeah, you'll get 5 cards. There's no draw. You'll just end up with 5 cards, and deuces are wild. Okay, so to play the game, players make an ante-wager, and then the players receive 3 down cards. At this point, the player can fold if their hand is really bad, or make a play wager equal to the amount of the ante-wager. So it's either fold and you're out, you lose your ante.
Typical for most of those games.
Yep, or you can continue by making a play wager. Then the players receive 1 more card. At this point, the player can fold or make a raise wager equal to twice the amount of the ante-wager.
Okay.
So if you started with $5 on the ante-wager, and you've made it this far because you didn't fold, you'll have $20 at risk, right? The $5 ante-wager, the $5 play wager, and the $10 raise wager. Yep.
Okay.
And then players receive 1 final card. Players win if they have a pair of aces or better. Again, with Deuces Wild. And depending on how good your hand is, you'll get paid at odds. Now, if you have exactly a pair of aces, nothing higher, just a pair of aces, the ante-wager wins even money, and the play and the raise wager push.
Okay.
For all other winning hands, all 3 bets get paid at odds. So that's the only case where only the ante-wager would get paid off.
Just a pair of aces.
Just a pair of aces. Ante gets paid even money, play and raise push. Okay. If you have 2 pair or 3 of a kind, you get even money on all 3 bets. And again, all these wagers now going up, all 3 bets are paid. So 2 pair and 3 of a kind, even money. A straight is 3-1. A flush, full house, or 4 of a kind is 4-1. You're thinking, what? Well, Deuces Wild, right? So you're going to have higher hands than normal, right? A straight flush is 10-1. 5 of a kind, which you can have with wild cards, is 20-1. A royal flush with a wild card pays 30-1, and that's what Nick hit when he was there. He was saying he hit a wild royal.
Right.
4 deuces is 200-1, and a natural royal flush is 1,000-1.
Now, how many decks are they dealing?
Just one, 52
just
card
one,
deck.
so there's only 4 deuces.
That's correct. Yes, right.
Okay.
And also keep in mind, this is not like Deuces Wild video poker where you draw.
Right.
So your hands are not going to be as good as video poker because it's just 5 cards.
Right, right. And if you're playing straight up just you and the dealer doesn't have a hand.
No, that's the thing. If
it's just you and the dealer on a table, you're only seeing 5 cards out of the deck.
Exactly.
It can be pretty hard to get a 4 of a kind.
Well,
it's Deuces Wild.
It's no harder than if the table's full and everybody's getting 5 cards.
Well,
think about
a lot of cards aren't exposed, so.
Well, but none of the cards are exposed. Not like you can see other people's cards. Okay, they're all down.
But you're not going to get I mean, you'd have to be pretty lucky to get 3 2s and a
Well, sure, of
and a
course.
4 or
Of course.
something
But
right
it doesn't matter whether you're by yourself or at a full table. It's still just
I'm
as
still
hard.
guessing this has a high house edge because 30 to 1 for a royal, but 4 of a kind's only 4 to 1. It's
All right,
pretty hard to get 4 of a kind.
Let's get to this, and we'll talk about the house edge in a minute. Let's first of all talk about the strategy for it. And I'm getting this straight from the Wizard of Odds website, okay? So on the play bet, when you just have 3 cards, you're deciding whether to fold or make that play bet. You're going to make the play bet if you have any hand with a deuce, any pair or 3 of a kind, 3 to a flush with an ace, or 3 to a straight flush. Otherwise, you fold. Okay. Any hand with a deuce, a pair or 3 of a kind, 3 to a flush with an ace, 3 to a straight flush. And according to the Wizard, if you're following this strategy, players will make this play bet 38.1% of the time. Okay. Now, the raise bet strategy, this is when you have 4 cards. The players should make the raise bet with any of these hands. Any hand with a deuce, any paying hand, obviously, if you already have a pair of aces or better.
Right.
4 to a straight flush or straight flush, or any pair, 3s through kings, right?
Just hoping to get trips?
Well, again, this is just based on the odds. And the Wizard actually says if all you have is a low pair, it's basically 0% house edge going forward.
Yeah.
So you might as well make it, because you're a gambler.
Right.
So,
right. Okay.
And if the player is following this strategy, he will make the raise bet 97.7% of the time. So he's already made the play bet.
Right.
So often you're also going to make
something.
sometimes not, but. Okay, so as far as the house edge goes, I'm going to read directly from the Wizard here because there's kind of a difference between house edge and expected loss. So I'm just going to read this here. On average, the player will bet 2.13 units by the end of each hand. That makes the element of risk, that is the ratio of the expected loss to total bet, equal to 3.23%. You probably thought it was going to be higher.
I thought it was going to be way higher.
Yeah. So, I guess what it is, it's easy, quote unquote, to get a pair of aces or better. Just because deuces are wild. But
I guess.
I don't know. It might be worth playing just to kind of get a feel for it, but I can kind of see why it hasn't caught on. Because maybe it is too simple. You're not playing against the dealer.
Right.
All you're doing is deciding whether you want to continue with the hand and put out more money. Like let it ride or something like that.
Well, you said you were going to make the raise bet, 98% of the time?
Yeah, once you've already made the play bet, you're probably going to make the raise bet.
So basically, you're making one decision. Are you going to make the play bet?
Okay, sure.
Because after that, 98 out of 100 times, you're going to make the raise bet.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I got one decision to make in this game, and it's based on those first 3 cards.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll go along with that. Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the game, right?
All right. I'll tell you what I'll do since we both got so much time on our hands.
All right.
I'm going to call you this week, and I'm just going to deal out some hands.
All right.
Okay, here's what you got. You playing or not?
I'll take this sheet home so I can remember.
Mark, how do I know you're not manipulating the cards? I can't tell for sure. Oh, I'm telling the truth.
I know you tell the truth because you want to see accurately how crazy I'm going to be. Well, if we're betting $5, I'll just make the play bet every time.
Right, I'll tell you what, after this, right now, we'll deal out some hands. We got a deck right over there. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is our buddy Miguel.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Miguel from Santa Ana, a longtime friend of the show. And I'm going to find out, Dr. Mike, as a medical professional, do you think this COVID-19 panic is a little bit overblown? And do you think this is going to affect the attendance at the casinos where, you don't want to be with lots of other people in a very enclosed area? All the same, do you think that they will have a problem if you ask them to clean the dice in between rollers? Because that could be an opportunity for dice manipulation, applying materials to the surfaces of the dice, etc. And finally, if you were on a hot roll, but the roller was coughing and sneezing, what would you do? Just curious. Thanks, guys, for a wonderful show, and hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
All right. Well, obviously, we got this call before all the casinos closed.
Right.
But do you have anything to say about this, Mike?
Yeah, I got a couple things to say about it. Number one, I actually heard a dealer tell a player to wash their hands. the player said he was going to the bathroom, cover my chips, and he said, make sure and wash your hands.
Oh, it would,
and he wasn't joking.
Right, sure. He wasn't
was
being
serious
funny, sure,
about, make sure you wash your hands before you come back.
This is right before the closures,
This
like
is
a week or so before.
a few days before the closure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the dealers were very worried about things because they're the ones who touch the dice more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and chips and,
chips
everything,
and
sure.
the cards. And so they're the ones that are really at risk. I don't know. We went
the Saturday before virtually all the casinos closed. Right.
And it was slower than normal, but it wasn't that slow.
I agree. Slower than normal, but not that slow.
There were plenty of people there. As far as the virus itself in a casino, that's a dangerous place because everyone's touching everything.
Yeah.
And what it is it's living on hard surfaces for a long period of time, like the dice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So unless those dice are cleaned after every time somebody touches them, you're kidding yourself if you think, cleaning them once a day is going to do anything.
Yeah.
You'd have to do it after every time. And that's just not going to happen, right?
Right.
It's like door handles. I was telling somebody the other day, or here's a better example, the pump at the gas station.
Yes.
Because everybody gets gas and everybody touches that pump. And, unless you clean it after every person has used it really thoroughly, you're kidding. You can't clean it once a day. It's not like, that'd be like me saying, well, we're going to wipe this room down at the beginning of the day. And then tomorrow at the beginning of the day, we'll wipe it down. And in between, we take our chances.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not good practice. So casinos can't stay open during something like that.
No.
It's just way too easy to spread. You just got to close the casinos down. Now, the interesting question to me is, when do you open them?
Mm-hmm, right.
Right? When do you open them? When do you say, okay, this is past?
Well, they can set a date like April 12th, but, that's not a hard and fast date, right? They're going to reassess as, time goes on here.
Right.
So.
And that's, I think, they're just going to say a date, and then when the 2 days before, they're going to say, well, okay, we're going to keep that, or no, we better not, based on, hopefully, some good science.
Yeah. Yep. Oh. All right. Thanks, Miguel. Next up is our pal, Melanie.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Dr. Mike. It's Melanie from Colorado. Just got done playing in Blackhawk. So my dad has this new system where he says, put 2 units on 6 and 8, and then as soon as one hits, take it down. Because he said, mathematically, you're more likely to hit a 6 or an 8 than a 7 if you combine the odds. Anyway, we were going to go to Vegas to celebrate my dad's 78th birthday, March 30th. However, we canceled that trip due to the coronavirus pandemic. So I went and played his method, although I found it extremely difficult to stay disciplined. For the most part, I just played the way I usually do, 6-8, pass line. Anyway, got on a great table, really fun people, wasn't crowded at all. That was nice, but the people who were there, super fun. I will say there's no smoking, as you probably know, in Colorado casinos, and I wonder if that will possibly keep them a little bit safer since people aren't touching chips, dice, each other, drinks, money, and then like touching a cigarette and touching their lips with a cigarette. You know what I mean? Anyway, just a thought. In any case, it was like the recession where, if you remember, people in Vegas were especially nice, the people that worked there. Again, I feel like the people in Colorado are almost always very nice, but everyone went out of their way to talk, to make conversation and connect and just be pleasant, even more so than normal. Anyway, walked away with a $150 win, 3 different craps tables and bubble craps. I found it much easier to play my dad's method at bubble craps, because I don't have to do that embarrassing thing where you go, can you take my bets down after they hit? It's so weird. However, now one of the tables I played, I totally won because I did his system. There weren't that many people. It was a little bit easier. Anyway, I love the show. Love it, love it. Nothing better than a new You Can Bet on That as I drive home from a great day at the casino. And it's not snowing. All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie.
It's funny, Melanie, because that isn't a bad system, and your dad's right. Chances are you're going to hit a 6 or an 8 before a 7.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's such a rough way to play for me.
For you, for sure.
Yeah, well, think about this. You bank that bet, 6 comes up, it hits, you take everything down, then the guy rolls 40 more rolls.
Well, of course.
I mean,
he rolls a 7 on the very next roll, too.
I know, but it's just one of those things that for me it would be so boring. And you see people who'll do that and then wait a few rolls and then put it back.
Sure.
And then hope to hit it again, right? Then you're up and down, and the dealers love that, people taking their bets up and down.
Yeah, I'd say that's really the only big negative is that sometimes dealers don't like that.
No.
But it's limiting your exposure to a negative EV game.
Right.
So, it's not a system that's going to help you win, but you'll lose less
if
in
you're
the
at a
long
casino
run.
where the pit boss isn't paying a lot of attention, but he sees you make the first bet, you're probably getting rated for that, whatever, that $24.
Make it $150 each on the 6 and 8,
right.
and then take it down when he walks away,
right?
Whether it's hit or not.
You're still getting rated, right? Yeah. So in that respect, it's good.
I have seen two extremes as far as people and their behavior right now. Like, I'll talk to some of the people working at the supermarket, and they'll tell stories about just these crazy people, going through them.
Right, sure.
But Sherry and I, the other day, we went to Target when it first opened in the morning, right? And people are there getting all the stuff that, you think of water and paper towels and toilet paper. And everybody was so nice to each other.
Yes.
It was kind of like, yeah, this is the new normal for a while. Oh, excuse me, even though, there's this big crowd going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think overall, and I told my daughters this, overall, people are pretty nice when there's crisis. It's so funny to me, and I don't want to sound like a terrible person, but why aren't we like that all the time?
Well, it depends on the crisis. When it's something like this, where like you and I aren't in danger right at this moment.
Right.
And we saw a neighbor, we can be pleasant. It's not like something where, the house is on fire, let's get out of here.
But my parents, their neighbors on both sides came over because they know that they're in their 90s and they know that they're shut in. And both neighbors on either side came over and said, hey, whatever you need, just let us know. We'll go to the store. You don't have to go out. Well, they don't do that the rest of the year. They don't stop by and say, oh, you're not feeling well? Well, what do you need at the store? It just doesn't happen. Yeah. I guess we're overly nice when there's a crisis going on, especially to people who can't help themselves as much.
Well, yeah.
But in regular life, people, normally you go to the store, if it's busy like that and you stepped in front of somebody, they'd cut your head off. Now they'll be like, oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll take it for now because, I've got a theory, and it's just kind of nice to have people being nice to each other right now.
It is nice that they're nice to each other, and I love it. I just wished it would continue longer, not the epidemic.
Now, what do you think about
niceness.
what do you think about the smoking thing that Melanie's talking about? So if you've got somebody who's smoking, they're putting their hand up to their mouth quite a bit.
Right.
So you think that's more likely to, spread something like that? Or
that's a good question because when you exhale the smoke, there's got to be virus in it, right?
Well, I'm thinking more of actually touching the cigarette and, you're touching your mouth more than you normally would, right?
Right. Yeah. For them, it's probably more dangerous.
I mean, I don't know. It's not like I know, but yeah.
Well, you might have to do it like, R.D. Johnson used to when...
I don't know. R.D. Johnson. You show your age so often.
I know.
Does anybody know what we're talking about? Very interesting.
I bet you Adam knows who R.D. Johnson is.
Adam?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think
Travel fanboy?
I think he does.
He's a millennial.
I know, but that's why I used him. I think he knows. I bet you he would know who R.D. Johnson is.
Let us know, Adam, if you know who R.D. Johnson is.
And if you don't look him up,
don't look
he's
him
hilarious.
up ahead of time. Well, he's dead.
Well, he was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Interesting thing here, just since this came out, my sister was going to get a doctor's note from my mom's doctor since my sister's out of work because of the coronavirus.
Right. She's an optometrist.
She's an optometrist.
But, Sherry was even saying, oh, my gosh, it's probably bad enough for you as a dentist, but an optometrist, think about it. They're right in front of you.
Yeah, but dentist is worse because we're in you.
Oh, yeah, that's
we're
true.
We're actually in you.
Gotcha.
But anyway, she had to get a note from my mom's doctor for some medical thing, and she looked at my mom's chart. Mm-hmm. This is a little off topic, but I'm going to say it anyway.
All right.
And on the chart, it had COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So it mostly linked to people who've smoked.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because their lungs are compromised.
All right. But your mom's never smoked.
My mom has never smoked and has always eaten very healthy. She's worked her whole life, very hardworking person, very healthy person, actually. Yeah. But she's been a waitress her whole life. My dad owned restaurants, and then after he retired and didn't own restaurants anymore, she worked in restaurants. Right. So she's been around smoke her whole life.
Right, because back when she was doing it, you could smoke in restaurants.
You can smoke in restaurants. Yeah. They were very smoky. So that's how much, that secondhand smoke has affected her now.
Yeah.
And that's why, they have to be quarantined because they're at such high risk.
Yeah, sure.
So, my sister's telling me this, and then she's saying, well, you and Mark go to the casino so much. Aren't you worried that like when you're 90, your lungs are going to be all messed up from smoke? Because there still is smoking in California casinos.
And most casinos,
and
really,
most
still.
casinos,
Yeah.
So, when Melanie's talking about Colorado casinos with no smoke, I'm thinking that's great.
Well, it's something to consider, but it's not like we spend as much time in casinos as employees do. I mean, come on.
No,
it's not even close.
Not even close. Employees, that would be a legitimate risk, right?
Yeah, definitely.
A legitimate health concern for an employee of a casino. It's kind of scary, really.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. Well,
So, think about some guy who's older, has worked at casino for many years, and his lungs maybe are a little compromised because of all the smoke over the years, and now he's got the COVID virus to worry about.
Well, we're kind of as a society moving more towards a no smoking.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, this is Bob from Maine calling. A little quick trip report. Last Saturday, had to head down to New York for a funeral, so that was no fun, but it was a down and back trip, so I figured I'd stop at Mohegan Sun on the way down and on the way back. So two really different experiences. On the way down, I was in sweats, hadn't showered, had a hat on, got there at 7 a.m., had the skeleton crew, the overnight crew, so they were fine. Small table, this is interesting. I think it was a 12-foot table at the pit I was in. And the dice were really tiny, at least compared to my home casino in Oxford, Maine. So that was a bit of an adjustment, but had fun, won a little bit of money, and then hit the road. On the way back, I was in my more formal clothes, having left my friend's funeral, so I had a blazer on, slacks. And the crew, dealers, were great. They actually treated me a little bit better, asked me if I wanted the marker, which I'd never had before, which I'm not that big of a roller, so I didn't. Anyway, played, really fun. I was surprised on a Saturday night getting there. I was hoping for a $15 table and found one for $10, so that was great. Really great experience. The dealers were a lot of fun, really fun atmosphere. The casino was packed as people were strolling in for a Saturday night. But found room at the rail, won a little bit more money, and then back to Maine. But just curious, have you guys ever seen different sized dice like that? I don't know what size they were, but they made my hands feel like gigantic, so it was kind of interesting. But Mohegan Sun, which I hadn't been to in a bunch of years, was super fun. Really great experience, and just really funny how on the way down, they were a little indifferent to me. Might have been, again, graveyard shift, but on the way back, they treated me a little bit better. Super nice both times. Anyway, love your show. I look forward to hearing more of your podcasts. Take care now.
Those are Monopoly dice, Bob. They were using Monopoly
We
dice.
didn't notice, though, at Mohegan Sun that the dice were any smaller.
No, I don't remember
think so.
thinking that, but I have been to places where I picked them up and thought, well, these are smaller.
Can you think of any specific? Because that kind of rings a bell with me, too, but I can't specifically think.
No, I can't think
Four
of
Queens, maybe?
Four Queens. Yes.
Is that right?
Four
Okay.
Queens has smaller dice.
Or at least they did. I don't know if they still do.
We used to go from Nugget, which had dice like Caesar's properties, bigger.
Yeah.
And we go to Four Queens, and they were these smaller
Yeah,
dice.
that's right.
I always remember thinking, Monopoly dice. They
That's
got
right.
these right out of the Monopoly box. Yeah.
Although now I think about they're the same size. I wonder if maybe the Oxford casino that Bob is going to just has extra large dice, right? Because
Bob failed to mention they're these big, plush.
Oh, yeah, like the old high roller show. Yeah. Remember that? They had like two big dice, and they had, if they rolled like an 8, they could take the 8 off the board, or they could take a 3 and a 5 off the board, and you had to get rid of all the numbers. Oh, my God.
Now who's
old.
showing
my God.
Who's showing their age now?
But that's probably what it's like. Oh, yeah, Oxford,
those big, huge plush
You have
dice.
to use 2 hands to roll them. Yeah, they go real slow.
They land on the table, and sometimes the dice will land on somebody's chips, and they have to move the chips to see how the dice would have fallen.
Yeah.
This lands on like 4 people's chips.
That's right.
4 bets.
And you can still see what it is. You don't need to move anything. You can tell what's on top. Yeah. All right. Next up is August.
Hey, guys. This is August Lorwood from Corning, previously from Bath. It's been a while since I've called in, and I just listened to your most recent episode and just had some thoughts. So when Vinny Chens was talking about the better life, at first I thought he said the bitter life. And I was just laughing so hard on my way to work, thinking about a podcast called The Bitter Life and how we could just talk about all the terrible craps rolls and how you went to the grocery store and they didn't have your favorite brand of blueberry yogurt and just all the things that make life bitter.
That's what we're in right now.
Yeah,
we're in the bitter life right now.
I can think of several Vegas or gambling themed podcast hosts
Yes.
who would be excellent at hosting The Bitter Life.
Bitter Life.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it is bitter when you go to the market and there's no hot dog buns. I mean, I went the other day, no hot dog buns. I'm like,
So what are you going to do?
Use regular bread.
On hot dogs? I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that so much.
You have no choice.
You'd
when
think it would be the same, but I hate it.
Yeah, there's no bun.
And just a couple of the other things. The iced beer, there's a guy that is always at the bar where I play the horses who always drinks Coors Light on ice, which I always found a little bit redundant. Like, Coors Light needs to be watered down more. And your podcast schedule always seems to just line right up with whenever I drive out to the casino, and it's just perfect. Like an hour and 15-minute podcast, and the drive for basically any casino I'm going to is about an hour and 15 minutes. So it's like my pregame, and it just gets me in the mood. It's just a great experience. And I just wanted to, I'll send you this video. It's a little bit old now, but it's actually of my son's first experience playing craps. He's like 2 years old, and we're at a like summer festival picnic type thing, like a barbecue. And there's somebody who set up like a little wooden craps table, and I put the dice in his hand and he throws it. And I swear, I'll see if it's in the video, but the guy says, make sure he hits the back wall. I just about lost it. So I'll see if I can dig that up for you and send that over. It's pretty hilarious. Anyway, thanks for all you guys do. And yeah, just love your show. All right, bye.
Did you see this video? Did I send it to you? Okay, I'll show you afterwards. But yeah, it's his son throwing the dice. It wasn't a real craps table. It was kind of like a just bet on one of these numbers kind of thing, right? And you roll the dice. And yeah, the guy's saying, throw it real hard now. It's cute.
That's what we need. We need an army of kids who are actually dice manipulators.
Yeah, well, now's the time to teach your children, right?
Yeah,
you got nothing else to do.
You got all this time.
Start practicing. Build that table and start practicing.
There you go.
Yeah, the bitter life. Well, you and I have talked about starting a brand new podcast.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is change one letter in the name. You can bet on that. And it'd be vastly different. A vastly different podcast.
Yeah, vastly different.
We're not going to come up to us if you want to hear about that. We're not going to talk about it on the show. All right. Next up is Nathan.
Hey, guys. It's Nathan from Indianapolis. Called a couple weeks ago to give you a trip report. Was in Vegas over the Super Bowl. One thing I forgot to mention, I made 4 bets on the game, and one of them was the Patrick Mahomes rushing yardage. I don't know if you heard about that bad beat or not, but it actually worked out well for me. It opened, I think, 27.5. By the time I got out to Vegas, I had been bet up to, I think, 32.5 yards for Mahomes rushing. So I ended up taking the under, just thinking that was a big jump of 5 yards for a quarterback that doesn't run very often. And then obviously in the game, he did run quite a bit. I think he ended up getting up to 44 yards at one point. And then with their 3 kneel downs at the end, he was in shotgun and took a couple steps back even farther than that. And, so it was 3 straight kneel downs, and it was negative 15 yards rushing for the kneel downs. So it went down to 29 yards. So I ended up winning that bet. So it was a good win for me. But I guess the reason I bring it up is, like I said, I had 4 bets, and I thought I had won 2 and lost 2. Including the Mahomes, because I cashed it in the next morning right before I was leaving, and I hadn't really paid attention to the stats. So I was thinking about but I always give the losing tickets just for them to scan through just in case. So moral of the story is I think all your listeners should try to do that. Sometimes, the tellers up there at the sports book will give you kind of a questionable look, but I still give them to them just to scan through because, like I said, if I would have thrown away the 2 losers, I mean, none of these were huge bets. Each one was about $100, but that would have been thrown away a winning ticket. So just keep that in mind. And, we actually just canceled our trip to Tunica, Mississippi for March Madness. Obviously with the cancellation of the games, we're not going down there. Just listen to your most recent podcast with Denny. And at the end, I know you said you're still planning on going to Biloxi, so I'm not sure if that's changed or not. But keep us in the loop on Twitter, and hopefully we can see you down in Biloxi. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, so the Biloxi trip is postponed. All the podcasters we've talked about, we still plan on doing it eventually. Maybe it'll be this year, maybe next year, but, it's not canceled. It's just postponed.
Postponed. indefinitely.
Exactly. That's really good advice that he's giving, though, on,
Yes.
if you think it's a losing, and if you're worried about how they look at you, just say, oh, sorry, I didn't see the end of the game. Or what? Can you just check these?
I didn't check any
right?
of them.
Some of them might be losers. Just check
I
them
do
for
that
me,
with all my lottery tickets.
Yeah.
So my wife will buy lottery tickets, randomly. She's just at the store. She buys one or two. I always check them and run them through, even the losers. Because, you never know. I mean, I might have been looking at the wrong date because I usually don't look at it live. I look it up on my phone.
Later, right.
And I might have been looking at the wrong day. So I just always run them through just to get that confirmation. Yeah, these aren't winners.
Yeah, I would do that at the track too, right? If you got a lot of bets going, just run them through. Oh, can you check these? Just be upfront. And it's like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they just slide it through the machine.
Yeah, that's all it does. Oh, not a winner. And if you're worried about them saying it's not a winner, but it really was, and then pocketing the money, watch the display. It should have a little display where it'll show.
Well, when you go to the 7-Eleven, it has a thing there, not a winner comes up.
Yeah. All right, next up is our buddy Todd.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Todd from Minnesota. I have a philosophical question or observation about craps that I wanted to get your opinion on. To me, I like the messiness of craps. And what I mean by that is it's okay to call out a bet without actually putting the chip on the exact location on the felt for it to be a valid bet. You can throw chips, to an extent, to a dealer, and they'll catch the chips and set them up how you want. There's a trust between the dealer and player that you definitely wouldn't see at a blackjack or roulette table. Can you imagine what would happen if a blackjack dealer had just started pitching cards out to the players and you come up, throw a $100 bill on the table and say, $25 bet? No way would they take that bet. I like the messiness of craps. Thoughts?
Yeah, think back to maybe when you didn't know the game and you just saw the table. It's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
It's a little overwhelming. I like that too. I remember I was playing once and there was a friend who was watching. She was not familiar. She was impressed with how little talking was going on. It's like the dice were rolled and then the dealer handed me something. It wasn't like, well, sir, a 6 was rolled, so here's $14 for your $12 bet. No, it's just boom.
Yeah.
Right. And if I say press, they know what to do. It's fast and it is messy, but that's part of the fun of it. It's like, get as much money out on the table as you can.
Right. We only play games with increasing entropy. That's our thing.
Is that it?
That's our thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
the more the entropy goes up, the luckier we are.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like me. I'm not a big fan of entropy.
You are not.
No, sir.
You are not.
No. All right, next call.
Hey, Dr. Mark and Dr. Mike. I don't know how this whole virus deal is going to shake down, but we had a trip planned and our local casinos actually closed down. So don't know what's going to go there. Dr. Mike, sorry that the NCAA tournament is canceled. Hopefully they don't cancel the horse racing so y'all have something to bet on. That's about all we have down here. So y'all have a good one.
Yeah, the tournament. Obviously there are way worse things going on.
Right.
But that tournament, we dropped our last episode at around, 11:30 noon our time on that day. And within a half hour, they canceled the whole tournament. Here, our whole episode, we're talking with Vinny about, all these pools that you can enter.
Yeah, it was particularly rough for us because San Diego State was in it as a highly ranked team. Potential to do something, whether they would have or not, who knows? As far as I'm concerned, they won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yay, San Diego State! Woo! We're having a parade. As soon as this virus thing is over,
it's guaranteed.
We're having a parade.
If it had actually gone on, we might have said, oh, they've got a slight chance.
Yeah.
But now that it hasn't gone on, they absolutely would have won. That's what our friend Mike James said, too. They absolutely would have won.
Yes. Nobody can dispute that. As nobody can dispute that the Padres are going to be in first place on April 1st and April 30th.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of things happening in the world, but we love this tournament so much. And it's, they're not postponing that. It's just done for the year. And next year it's going to be all different teams.
You can't really postpone it.
No.
It's not one of those things.
No.
Now, the Kentucky Derby is postponed.
Yes.
Right?
So they have rescheduled that for September 5th.
Right.
Now, it's interesting because our friend Chris, who comes to poker night, he and his family, they were all going to go. Big thing for Kentucky Derby. And I said, what are you going to go now in September? And he's like, it was kind of spoiled for him. It's like, they were all this buildup and now it's changed. And so they may not go.
Well, Well, they're here in San Diego. They've got to make reservations and,
it's a whole big thing, right? And
they
stuff
got a
like
lot of
that.
stuff to reschedule.
Yeah.
So.
And the Olympics, you and I are big Olympics fans,
Yeah,
right?
we love the
and
Olympics.
so, what a nightmare that is. At least they're planning on having it next year.
Well, they announced they're going to do it in 2021.
Yeah, right. So, but that's another thing too. I was all set to have some Olympics this summer.
Well, the Olympics is a whole different beast because they spend billions of dollars, on venues and stuff. I mean, you just cannot let that go to waste.
Yeah. At the same time, they're still going to lose a ton of money, right? On having to postpone it.
Sure.
And it won't affect most athletes, but it will affect some.
Oh, there will be some. There'll be some. I'm wondering if you qualified, to make the U.S. Olympic team in, say, the 100 meters, you have to qualify.
You'd have to qualify again. You can't. Yeah, you'd have to.
You'd
It'd
have
to be
to do it all again. And the guy who was third might not get third this time. He might get fourth or fifth. Or
that's true. But I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of the Olympic qualifying hasn't happened yet.
Some of it is
2020.
Some of it is
so,
last minute. Yeah, some of it is in March and April. Right.
So, all right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, brand new listener. I love your podcast. This is Mike from Ackworth, Georgia. Just wanted to give you a trip report. As of March 18th, but the Harris properties in North Carolina are closed indefinitely. So I went up on the 17th to get my fix before they closed and had about a 5-hour session. And within the first 3 hours, we hit the make 'em all 3 times.
Wow, nice.
Wow.
Had 2 other shooters that were 1 number away from the make 'em all. Also hit my hard 8 that I had parlayed up to $50. So that was a $450 win on that. I guess the casino had the magnet underneath the table turned off for that day. So everybody was a winner. I had $1 on the make 'em all for the dealers every time. So they made money. All the shooters made money, and it was a great day. So just wanted to give you an update on that. And I hope they don't stay closed too long. I love your podcast. Great format. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yeah, you'd think that if the casino knew that they were going to close soon, that they'd really crank up those magnets at the craps table, right? To increase number of 7 outs. But they did the players a favor. That's nice.
Yeah, well, maybe they wanted them to make sure they came back.
That's it. Yeah, have a big win so they know.
Right.
You're right, Mike.
Don't
that makes more sense.
Afterwards. Yeah, that's what they were doing.
You're right.
Which brings me to, I was going to hold this for the end, but I'll say it now since we're on it.
All right.
Harris called me, and they want you and I to come Saturday night like normal.
Oh.
Just be us and a couple dealers.
Oh, great.
But we want to keep the place in business.
Oh, good.
Keep the bills paid.
Okay, good.
They figured that's how they'll do it.
All right, great. Yeah, let them know we'll be there. Contacted you directly, you said. That's great.
It'd be funny, just you and I. The whole place is dark except for one light above the craps table.
They just have a special light that they brought over this big
There's about 7 or 8 of the normal dealers, normal players, and they just take our temperature. Oh, you're fine. Come on
keep
in.
going. All right, last call.
Hey, guys. Ryan from Las Vegas. Just wanted to check in with you guys. I know this is a pretty crazy time going on, especially with the whole no gambling thing. I know you guys are probably going stir crazy over there. I'm sure you've already made some sort of makeshift craps at home game that you guys have been playing a lot of poker, something along those lines. I know this is really taking a hit on my business as being a professional sports handicapper. There's nothing to bet on right now unless you're interested in darts or maybe chihuahua racing. Anyways, a colleague of mine has a buddy that works for the Nevada board gaming industry. And as you know, all these casinos in Las Vegas have been shut down, as well as non-essential businesses here in Nevada. So you know this board gaming industry has a lot of time to think right now. And he told me that one of the things that they want to implement now is on the craps table, if your roll happens to go over 20 rolls, doesn't matter the time, over 20 rolls, they're going to automatically switch out the dice. So each time you go over 20 rolls, they're switching out the dice, and that's non-negotiable. You have to do it. And that's just something they're coming up with. I don't know how that's going to go over, but you can think with all this free time, these guys are going to do nothing but think of new rules. And, these casinos never, ever close. Since they've opened, they've never closed. And now that they are closed, they have time to try to think of all these new things. And any of these pictures you see, I know you guys see a lot of pictures online about Vegas going dark, that the whole strip is completely black. Let me clear that up a little bit. The strip is empty. There's not anybody on it. There's a couple people, walking around, but nothing is open. But it is not completely black. They did not shut off those lights. Anytime you see a picture of the Vegas Strip black and completely turned off, that's from the 1 October honoring when they dimmed all the lights. Anyways, stay safe. Hopefully you guys get on the craps table soon, man. You guys take care, stay healthy, and wash your hands. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. No. 20 rolls and they change the dice.
What's the rationale?
What would be the motivation? Okay. Is it for health reasons? Well, they're not going to do that.
No.
Right? Because there are chips, there are cards.
Right.
Is it because they're worried the guy's a hot shooter? Well, that's ridiculous if a casino actually thinks that. Right? Are they
and then
worried?
Somebody has to count the 20 rolls? Are they going to have...
Yeah, they count, and then how many dice do they have on reserve?
Oh, I know what they do.
Oh, what's that,
I got
Mike?
it. I figured
go
it
ahead.
out.
Go ahead, Dr. Mike.
They have a craps pit. They have ring girls, like in boxing.
Uh-huh.
A ring girl for each table who holds up a card and walks around the table after each roll.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, different ring girls going around the table.
And then when
I'm for that.
So as soon as she gets to 20, then she actually puts the new dice in the table.
She puts new dice in the table.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, she pulls them out of her pocket.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Nathan, from Brian Dancer, from Brian and Sarah, and from Josh. Thanks very much for those recurring donations. Also a donation from Christian. Stay safe, you guys. Karma donation for a hopeful winning crap session in 2020. So good luck, Christian. And finally, a donation from William. Karma donation to get rid of COVID-19 before college football starts. Texas A&M has senior quarterbacks, so we don't need no stinking spring ball. Hashtag bet the team over. So thanks very much for that, William. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. Dr. Mike.
Well, Mark, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I mean, we have not gambled.
No, here we were talking about our favorite time of the year is coming, baseball and the tournament, nothing.
Right. What was the last day we gambled? What was the date?
It was March 14th.
March
It was a
14th.
Saturday. We actually did go to the casino, even though we probably shouldn't have because, things were starting to close down, but they were open.
They were still open.
So what are we going to do?
So it's been 11 days.
Yep.
I'm
Seems
actually
like a lifetime.
okay. I've watched a lot. I've gotten caught up on everything.
Yeah, I'm getting caught up as well.
I am caught up on all my TV shows, everything I want to watch.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out.
Well, everybody stay safe.
Yeah.
And hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll have another show and we'll have some good news about the gambling industry and the world.
And maybe we'll have a good story. We went back and the layoff was great because we had a huge monster win.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Or we'll be back saying, they gave us nothing. Our points are down to nothing.
Yeah, it's terrible. And we're both contagious now with COVID-19.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, that can't happen because I've already missed way too much work.
Oh, yeah. I expect, now I'm still working. I'm in a job where, we're considered.
Can work from home.
Yeah, I can work from home. Sometimes I have to go in to physically do something. But that's just money out of your pocket.
Yeah,
Yikes.
it's just nothing. I mean, my employees too.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to you and good luck to everyone.
All right, everyone. Stay healthy.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.